What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel and podcast network. Noah Hiles coming to you on another Mailbag Thursday, where I answer all of your questions on all things related to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Before we get into it, I want to remind everyone to check out all of my work at post-gazette.com. You can read all of our Pirates coverage there, along with all of the coverage that we provide for everything that goes on inside this city and its surrounding communities, from sports, from news, politics, entertainment, art, food, everything in between. The Post-Gazette's there to cover it. You can read it all at post-gazette.com. Get yourself a digital subscription if you don't have one already. And check out our print product. We print every Thursday and Sunday. All right, time for another mailbag. Excuse me. Time for another mailbag. 5 questions as always, as we are heading into the final weeks of the 2025 season. I can't believe it. It's almost over. It went by in a flash. It actually didn't. It went on very long, but we made it through. And thank you all for following along throughout the journey. So let's get into this week's questions. We start with Hey PGH asks, will this offseason include another search for a new hitting coach? I like this question. It's an interesting one, and I think it depends on a handful of factors. I mean, one, it depends on who's back. If Don Kelly's back, maybe, maybe not. If Ben Cherington's back, maybe, maybe not. If both of them are gone, then yeah, Matt Hague is gone. If Cherington's gone, I think the likelihood of a new hitting coach is higher, right? But if Ben and Don Kelly are both back, I'm not entirely sure if they'll be looking for a new hitting coach. There's part of me that thinks that Donnie's going to want to keep his staff intact. Maybe he'll make a few changes here or there, but for the most part, I think he's going to want to keep it pretty close to what it is. And maybe I'm off. Maybe he wants a new hitting coach in there, regardless of what happens. But I also know that if Cherington's back, it's going to be hard to find a better replacement. And I just go back to last year. This was a job that it was pretty clear not a lot of qualified people were interested in applying for. There weren't a lot of established applicants to pick from. And that's how you ended up seeing them hire Matt Hague, a guy who had only coached in the major leagues for one season as an assistant hitting coach on the Blue Jays. And while, I'm not going to sit here and blame Matt Hague for all of the Pirates' offensive woes, I don't think it's his fault that so many players have regressed. It is still worth noting that those regressions have happened under his watch, and there haven't been a lot of success stories to coincide with them. Seemingly almost everyone got worse, or at the very least stayed the same, and no one really got better. The only player I think you can truly say took a step forward as a hitter this year is Spencer Horwitz. And that's a guy who's worked with Hague for a long time, obviously last year in Toronto, and then even before that in the minor leagues. So he has a lot of familiarity with Hague, and maybe more familiarity will lead to better results for other Pirates. But I just don't know if that's a good enough argument. Nothing against Hague. It seems like he's well-liked within the clubhouse. I just don't know if he fits the needs for this current team. I think they need someone a little bit more established in that position, in that role moving forward, who can perhaps connect better with some of these guys who have had issues trusting people in the past in that position. So I don't know. I mean, if I was making the call, yeah, I think they should be looking for someone else, but I'm not entirely sure, because if Cherington's back, I think it's going to be a really hard sell for someone to come in, for a GM who's obviously going to be on the hot seat in year 7, having not produced any winning seasons. And I don't anticipate them being very active this offseason. I think maybe a trade or two will happen. I don't think they're going to sign any big name free agents. I think the hitting coach is going to be asked to get better results out of a lot of the names that we've seen play every day here. So that's my take on the situation. So I don't know if anyone else better would want to do the job. So I think Hague more than likely will be back, especially if Cherington and Kelly are back. So yeah, there's my answer for question number 1. Next comes from Roger. He wants to know what are the odds that Keller or Reynolds get moved this offseason, and what are the odds that they are both moved? As I've said plenty of times, I fully expect Mitch Keller to get traded this offseason to teams that I know are interested are the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. I'm sure other teams will be interested as well. I think the Pirates would have traded Mitch, and I've said this all before, would have traded him in July if the package was right, but they don't want prospects for Mitch Keller. They want an established big league hitter. No team was really willing to offer that in July in the midst of a pennant race. So they held on to him, where they're going to try to flip him, I think, for at least one everyday bat this offseason. So that's my thoughts on Mitch. Reynolds, I just don't see it happening this season. His value's at an all-time low. He's coming off of a really bad season. I mean, the fielding has progressively gotten worse year by year. The bat, I mean, it was better in August. It hasn't been amazing. I mean, overall, he's like an average player right now. He's like a replacement level player, essentially. That's not when you want to move him. You're not going to get anything for him. If they traded Reynolds right now, the best they could hope for, I think, is to just get his money off the books and try to reinvest it in someone who they think they could get better production from for that price, which I don't think would be a horrible idea. I just don't see that being the Pirates' top priority. They already have so many other things they need to figure out. They need to figure out what DH is going to look like next year, if it's going to be Kutch or if it's going to be someone else. They need to figure out at least one corner outfield spot already. They need to figure out third base, shortstop maybe even until Connor Griffin gets here. So, and catcher too. Like there's so many places on the field they need to figure out, and I don't think moving Reynolds makes it any easier. I mean, it gives them more money to spend, but then again, you've got a lot of spots to fill, and this regime hasn't necessarily done great at finalizing contracts or finalizing big trades. So I just think it's too ambitious for them to try right now. I think they could probably move him if next year he doesn't look any better, then yeah, they're just going to try to offload his salary, and they totally should. But right now, I think their hope is that Bryan Reynolds will return to the player that he was last year, at least as a hitter, which I don't think is that crazy of a hope. I think he's capable of doing that. Steve wants to know, now that Bubba Chandler has got some appearances and a couple of starts under his belt, what is my outlook for him this year and looking forward? Do you think he makes the rotation out of spring training? I mean, this year's basically over. So I'll just say I'll give my answer for next year. I think he does make the opening day rotation out of spring training. And they need him to, especially if they're going to trade Mitch Keller. They need Bubba Chandler to essentially be the number 2 behind Paul Skeens. I don't know if he's going to be that immediately next year. I think he's going to have some growing pains, but I think it's well within reason to believe that he can be that guy by the end of next season. By the time we're in August and September, Bubba Chandler could very well establish himself as a competent number 2 behind Paul Skeens as the ace of the staff. And again, they need him to do that, especially if they're moving Mitch, because Ashcraft has talent, obviously, but the injury history is worrisome. I mean, Burrows has lost the camera there. Burrows has some injury troubles in his past as well, as does Hunter Barco, as does Yohan Oviedo, as does Jared Jones. I mean, Bubba's got a clean bill of health, and he has the highest upside out of any of them to begin with. So they need Bubba to be their number 2. If he's not, that's going to make winning games a lot tougher. And again, especially if they're moving Mitch Keller. I think he's capable of doing all of these things. I think it's just going to, that route is going to include some growing pains. I mean, he's not Paul Skeens. So I think there's going to be some struggles, but I also think the highs are going to be very high. Nick asks, what player are you most excited for in 2026? I think Connor Griffin's the easy answer, right? Everyone's excited to watch Connor Griffin. So I'll go with someone different. I'll say Jared Jones. I think that because of how good some of these rookies were this year with Ashcraft and Burrows and Chandler, we forgot how fun Jared Jones was in the first half of last season, how electric he was, and how before Paul Skeens arrived, I mean, he was maybe the most talked about rookie pitcher in baseball for that first month of the season. I'm curious to see what Jones's season looks like next year. Obviously, the arm is going to be a concern. You don't want those injuries to resurface. I personally would love to see Jared Jones used as a closer, maybe just next year, especially just to let him get his feet underneath him. And then you can explore the idea of him being a starter again later on. I don't see that happening. I think the Pirates are going to use him as a starter. That's what Jared wants. That's what the club's indicated in my conversations as well. But however he's utilized, I think Jared Jones is a fun player to cover. He's one of my favorite guys to talk to in the clubhouse as well. He's just a competitor. He's a bulldog. He brings some much needed edge to this team. And he's another young, lively arm that could be added into this rotation, I think, before June. So I'm excited for the Jared Jones return. And last but certainly not least, we have a question from Tony, who asks, aside from Connor Griffin, are there any minor leaguers who you think could see, or who you could see significantly helping the Pirates next year? I think there are a couple minor leaguers that could help the Pirates win games next year. I don't know if it'll all be the same way. I think this offseason, we could see them trade some marquee prospects, guys who maybe they wouldn't have traded in years past. Maybe a Hunter Barco gets moved. Maybe a Tamar Johnson or a Thomas Harrington. I think those latter two have a decent chance of being moved based off some conversations that I've had. I wouldn't be shocked if Tamar or Harrington were traded this offseason. Barco's a little bit of a different case. I think they would like to get him up here, especially because he's a left-hander and they don't have a lot of those guys. But those are three guys that I think we could see moved for an established big league hitter, or maybe package together two of them to get a big league bat. And if not, Hunter Barco, if he's still around, and I think it's probably more likely than not that he will be, he'll be a part of this rotation next year in some way, shape, or form. So those are the three guys. If it's not one of those three, I think Eddie Yeen could get some run in the bullpen. So that's all I have for this week. I appreciate everyone reaching out as always. Everyone who views the show, keep tuning in, keep subscribed, check out all of our work at post-gazette.com, and keep tuning in, like I said, to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.